situations like this that you ask yourself, how did I get here? Well, let me tell you. So I'm on Copart and I come across this 2014 Audi S6, has 123,000 miles, a clean title, and good service history. If you know anything about auctions, there's a reason a car is at the auction. They don't put perfectly good cars in auction lots. So I go ahead and I take the bait. I buy this car. I got the car for $5,000. They were asking $6,800 by now. I had seen a few of them sell before they even made it to auction. So I went ahead and just put in an offer for $5,000. And I thought, you know what? Let's just forget it. Why don't I just try it? Let me break down the cost here. I got the car for $5,000. Auction fees, transaction fee, processing fee, discounted membership fee because I had to buy it through a broker, storage fee, and I'll get into that, emissions fee, licensing, shipping. That's a total of $9,351.23. That's how much this car actually cost me, even though I got the car for $5,000. Now, I don't want to do body work. I don't want to do frame structural repairs. Like, I'm okay with mechanical work, and that's why I bought this car. I figured it's probably at the auction lot because it has a mechanical issue. It's probably not obviously cosmetic. The car has a clean title. It's never been in an accident. It's probably something else. So I'm prepared for what I thought was the worst. And turns out I was wrong. It was worse than I thought. Now, acquiring the car. I buy the car and I had to buy the car through a broker. Now that broker has their own shipping company that they kind of integrate into everything, and they're like, hey, you know, it's super convenient, it's easy, buy it with us, pay the shipping, it's all one invoice. We make sure the car gets on the truck and everything gets sent to you. So I'm thinking, okay, you know what, that's worth it. I'll pay the little bit of extra to not have to find a shipping company and get everything out. And if you know Copart, they want the car out in like 3 days. You got 2 days after the auction to pick up the car. Like, I pay the invoice like that day, everything's done. A week later, the car's awaiting pickup. So I call them and I'm like, okay, where's my car? Because now at this point I've acquired over $100 in storage fees at Copart, and they're going up every day. They're a little bit more money. And I'm like, well, what is going on? You're supposed to ship my car. And they're like, oh, it's going out on a truck today. It did not go out on a truck that day. It went out the next day, luckily, but another day of late fees. Now, fast forward 1 week, I get a phone call. And the guy says, hey, the truck will be there in an hour to deliver your car. Have a forklift ready. The car does not run and cannot be moved. Again, I was okay with mechanical issues, right? And I was what I thought was prepared for the worst. Let me tell you, I don't understand. I don't know who's loading these trucks. I don't know who's planning this stuff, but they really need to plan better. I get this double-decker, full-size semi-truck pull into my driveway. Now, the car gets here, it's on the upper level in the middle of the trailer. So they would have to move 4 or 5 cars off the trailer. That, mind you, they're damaged as well. Then the ramps would have to drop down, and then the car would have to go off the back. However, the airbags on the car are completely deflated. Now, in the pictures, they weren't. In the pictures, they looked fine. The car shows up. One, the windows are rolled down, and there's plastic over the window. They don't even look like the same car. And to make matters worse, I see a honking wiring harness just hanging off the bottom of the car. And I'm thinking, oh, great. Like, what is going on? So I get there, and unfortunately I didn't take any pictures. Here I am, I'm nervous. I'm like, I gotta get this car unloaded. I just paid a lot of money to have this car here. It shipped over 2,500 miles. Like, I can't just send the car back. Like, at this point, the car's already been shipped. Someone has to pay the shipping. Like, shipping's not free. I work with a trucking company. I know how much it costs to ship stuff. Like, I can't just send it back. Anyways, so I have to take the car. After the nightmare of getting the car unloaded, I get the car unloaded, and it's a filthy disaster inside and out. Obviously the plastic did not last 2,000 miles, so it's all peeled open and there's a bunch of, you know, dirt and everything. They drove through everything. Interior's filthy. Everything's just, the car didn't even look like the same car. When you buy a car from auction, you usually expect a little bit of like damage on the underside of the car. They use a forklift, they pick it up, like it's gonna get scratched, it's gonna get dented. Like they're, you know, I'm kind of planning on, you know, maybe replacing some lower control arms. Like I'm not like, I've done my research, I know what to expect. The guy went in and just like speared the control arms and just bent, this side is like bent like, you know, 10 degrees off. He broke both of the airbag leveling sensors, ripped all of like the carpet like guards that go underneath like the floorboards and stuff, ripped that off, and hit the wiring harness that was underneath of that, ripping that off with a main ground wire, also ripping that off. And when that wire got ripped off, it ripped the actual plugs out of the steering rack. So the steering rack, like where the wires actually plug in, that part got ripped off the steering rack. So there's all of that. Dead battery shot because they ripped the wiring harness off. I think they rolled the windows down and then they ripped the wiring harness off, and then they couldn't roll them back up because the battery was dead and the car was dead and nothing would work right. That's the damages that came from the auction yard and shipping. Okay, so let's go over my diagnostics. Okay, first things first, I put a new battery in the car. I fix the wiring harness, and I get all of the electrical system like functioning again, so I can like power on the car. Check, make sure it has oil. Okay, yes, it has oil. Oil looks decent. Like it's not like full of water, like nothing like that. So check the oil, get the electrical system up and running. Like I can power the car on now. Everything kind of relatively works. Okay, so I go to start the car. Just, you know, okay, let's see if it even starts. Push the brake, hit the button. Nothing. Not a click, nothing. Doesn't even try to do anything. I'm like, okay, well, you know, let's check fuses, let's check that. So I check all the fuses, check all the relays, everything checks out. I start looking at the starter. The wiring on the starter is melted. Like the plug is melted. The wiring looks burned. Either something shorted out, something, and okay, starter's obviously bad. Let's start there. Start with the starter. In order to do the starter on this car, you have to take the front end off. You have to remove the alternator. You then have to remove the motor mount. You then have to remove a bracket that the motor mount mounts to, and then you can get the starter out. So after all of that, I get the starter out, I put the new starter in, I replace the motor mount while I'm there because let me show you what it looked like. This is the old motor mount. As you can see, that thing is completely shot. So while I'm waiting for the starter to come in, I decide I'm gonna borescope all of the cylinders. So I pull all the spark plugs out and I stick my little tiny camera, you know, down in the spark plug holes, and I look at all the cylinders. And the cylinders look great. Like there's no signs of anything, no valve damage, contact, anything, no scarring on the sidewalls. Like the pistons look clean. Like there's a little bit of carbon buildup, but that's just normal on these engines. But it looks really good. And I'm like, okay, well, there's no catastrophic things, at least in the pistons, cylinder walls, valves. Like, so I get it all put back together with the new starter, and I go to start it, and no crank. But it does click, and the engine tries to turn. It just goes chick. And that's it. So I verify, make sure, yes, the engine is trying to turn. It like notches, but then it doesn't actually move. Okay, so at this point, I go ahead and I get the socket to turn the motor over by hand. You have to get a custom socket. I get the motor to turn. It's really tight, but it's not like completely stuck. It's just like tight. Like I just needed a big bar and I just push on it. Mind you, I don't have spark plugs in there. There's no compression in the motor. So it's really tight to turn over, but then it frees up for a second and then it gets tight again. So I remove the oil pan and the oil filter, looking for, you know, metal shavings, any, you know, smoking gun, anything that might tell me, hey, this is what's wrong. No metal shavings anywhere to be found in the oil. I pull the filter apart, no metal shavings in the filter, like everything looks good. However, I do find a piece of plastic timing guide in the oil pan. And I then look up in the oil pickup tube, and sure enough, more pieces of timing guide. So at this point, I know it's timing related, probably, maybe, hopefully. So I pull the rear upper timing covers, which on this car, it's luckily big enough that you can actually like get it out. So I pop one of them back and I can get my borescope down inside of the back of the timing system. Sure enough, the upper timing guide on the driver's side, the ends of it are broken off. So I'm thinking, okay, well, there's my pieces of the timing guide, but the chain looks great. And there's nothing like off of its track. Like it's just the ends of the timing guide. It's not like the guide itself. The middle part that the chain rides on is still there. So I get my borescope up under the windage tray. Let me just tell you, a borescope, especially one that has a little like thing that you can turn the end and like look 180 degrees. These are the most helpful tools to have when you're diagnosing anything. To just look inside of the engine is crazy. Anyways, so I look inside the windage tray and I don't find any issues. Everything looks pretty good. And this is when I find what I think is the smoking gun. And what is actually wrong with this engine is on one of the main bearings, I see a very small amount of shavings of some kind. I can't verify if they're metal. I couldn't get a magnet in there, and I couldn't tell, you know, if it was plastic or metal. My guess is that it's metal. My guess is that it's bearing material. Now, again, there's no oil, there's no metal in the oil or the pan or the filter or anything. So this leads me to believe that this either just happened or it's not metal or something like that. Anyways, so at this point, the verdict is the engine has to come out. Like, I can't diagnose anything any further without pulling the motor out of the car. And at this point, I'm like, okay, the motor's coming out. It has 123,000 miles. Something's wrong with it. Like, if I want this car to be reliable and good, I need a new motor. Like, it needs a different motor. I'm not going to, you know, Band-Aid fix this motor with 123,000 miles, throw it in the car and expect the car to be reliable. So I go on eBay and I find a used motor. It has 87,000 miles. The car has great service history and it just coming from a wrecking yard. It was a wrecked S6, like same year, same engine code, everything was good. So I go ahead and order that engine. That'll be in the next video, but I have a new engine that's gonna go in this car with less miles, less leaks. That's the other thing. This motor has leaks everywhere. The engine's just covered in oil. So it's due for either an entire engine reseal, but at that point, like if I'm fixing a main bearing and I'm fixing oil reseals, like I might as well just be rebuilding the whole motor. Like at this point, doesn't make sense, doesn't pencil out. Plus the car is not worth enough, you know, in running condition to have completely rebuilt that motor. Like it's just not gonna, I'm never gonna get my money back out of the car.
Можно, если как дозволенный двигаешь.
So used motor was the solution. Where the car sits now is I've fixed pretty much all of the issues on the car. I still need to do the lower control arms, but I've replaced the engine mounts, I fixed the wiring harness, I put a new battery in the car, and relatively went through everything else. And I have a new motor on the way. So new motor will go in the car. Hopefully I can get the car up and running, and then we can go from there.